Hey ManCavians, this is Bob from the Bob's N-Scale ManCave, and today I am doing a review of the Scale Train's N-Scale version of the GTEL 8500 Big Blow Gas Turbine set. This is Scale Train's first N-Scale locomotive, and just like the HO version, this is a big seller. And if you didn't pre-order, you still have a little bit of chance left to get one of these. The first runs anyway. I'm sure they're going to do a second run because these things are selling like hotcakes. So I'm real excited. I've already looked at it already, but I'm going to give you some overview of everything that I've seen and some of the testing that I've done, and show you some of the little tricks and traps and neat little features of this locomotive. So let's go take a look at it right now. Okay, we're going to open this bad boy up. Comes in a nice red Scale Trains box. Cover's a little tight. There we go. And it comes with a GTEL horsepower turbine Rivet Counter book. Let's see. Gives you some maintenance tips, how to remove the shell, some history on the prototype, some basic DCC instructions, some addressing and so forth, and some notes. Looks like an illustrated parts breakdown. Some features, and so forth. Lots of pieces, lots of parts, and a whole parts list. Inside, there it is. This one's number 18. And let's take a look at this packaging. Look pretty easy to take apart. Slide it out. Take this off the top. Comes with a piece of plastic cellophane, kind of a cloth to protect it. And there you go. Real easy. Let's go unpack the other ones. It comes with these extra springs. I believe they're for the couplers. Okay, this is number 18, the Scale Train's N-Scale version of the GTEL 8500 Big Blow locomotive. This is the A unit, and number 18 is actually in the Illinois Railway Museum. You can go actually see this locomotive in person, and it is exquisite. I have never seen quality in a N-Scale locomotive like this in plastic. So you can tell it's highly detailed. You have all these ribbed grills right here. You can see through them. I mean, you really can see through there. If you look right here, A little white light right there. Put my hand behind it and it goes away. So you can see through there pretty well. And it comes with an H configuration up here on the top. We'll go into a little bit more detail on that, but there is so much stuff on here. They call it a rivet counter for a reason, because you can literally get up close and see some rivets. But it is pretty darn detailed. All the little tiny handrails on here to the mirrors. All this detail on these trucks are exquisite. If you've seen the HO version, you know that there's a lot of detail that goes into this model. The N-scale model is 80% as detailed as the HO model. Usually when you go to N-scale models, they're roughly about 55% of the detail can be reproduced in that plastic model. Because of cost and everything else, they decide not to make it as detailed. But in the scale trains world here, it is highly detailed. It has the B version, the B unit, which is the actual turbine that you hear when it's running full blast. The turbine exhaust is back here, and the whole thing is just a separate unit, separate engine altogether. Both of these are powered. The A unit and the B unit are powered, and both have their individual sound chips in it from ESU. And you also have this water tank, or, well, it wasn't a water tank, it's more of a fuel tank. Back in the day, they've converted them to water tanks. Very detailed. There's just so much detail in here, it's really hard to even describe all of it. But if you look at the illustrated parts breakdown that comes with it, there are a lot of parts on here. You can see from the front of it, it looks pretty nice. A good, or excellent actually, paint job on the Union Pacific logo and the whole detail on the front. We'll take a look at the headlight, and you can see the windshield wipers and even the cab interior is in there. Looks pretty realistic to me. You have the top, you can see the H configuration right here. And all this detail up on top. H and I basically. There's the I back here. All the scale trains, big blows are prototypically correct based on the date that they were manufactured, and not when they went into a museum or scrapyard. The bottom is not as detailed as you would probably think, but who really looks at the bottom of their locomotives very often, and so it doesn't really need to be too detailed. But you can see a lot of the detail from the sides, all that piping on these trucks, springs and brake lines and sand lines, all sorts of stuff. What I really liked was this MU hose right here or brake hose. I think that's what brake hose is. I'm not really well versed on every single thing on every part of an engine, but that you don't see very often. Normally you have these pins that come down, magnetic decouplers, and that's not really realistic. You do have to be careful how you handle these, because some of these parts are pretty fragile. They seem to flex a little bit when you catch your finger on them, so you gotta be careful. The B unit is equally just as impressive with the detail. You can see a lot of details on the sides of these locomotives. The handrails, the doors, the grab irons right here. You also have some detailed ends right here. I've never seen anything like this before. You've got a window in the back right there for the door. MU hoses. All sorts of interesting details in here. One thing is you really can't see through here, because I don't think you're really supposed to see through, but you can kind of see that it in the camera view it looks like it's kind of flickering. That's because it actually kind of is see-through, it looks like, or it gives you that impression anyway. Just the way the paint is and everything. It's very very detailed. Here's the exhaust. You can see the fans in there. Maybe not on this camera, but yeah, you probably can still see that. You can see the fans right down in here. The turbine fan. That end is highly detailed as well. It's all detailed. A lot of MU hoses and so forth. On the top you got the walkways, see-through walkways. You know, sometimes they just kind of print stuff on there and put them on their models. The scale trains really did a very good job with these. I mean, the Rivet Counter quality in N scale, there is no museum quality in N scale, but Rivet Counter is basically that equivalent for N scale. Now we'll go to this fuel tank, and you can see the top there has all sorts of grading in here, and it's all etched see-through grading. There is a light, an operating light on the back, and I'll show you that later. MU hoses and all the ladders. A lot of detail went into this tank car. See all the detail on the bottom and on the trucks, brake lines, everything. And the front of it, the brake wheel right there, and number 18. These were all set. The whole engine set was kept together. So let's take a look at one more thing here. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you can see right through the grating on this locomotive. I'm going to put my hand behind it again. You can see it. Isn't that neat? How many of your locomotives can do that? When you look inside there, you don't see any of the wiring or hardly any of the mechanism that makes this engine roll. Did a very good job on it. Let's go take a look at operation. So that's the startup sequence, pretty simple for this Rivet Counter. As you notice, probably not in this light, but the number boards come on, and it's in idle at the moment. This is the bolster mode. So let's put this in reverse. You get brake noises with the air releasing. Let's turn on the headlight. I really can't see the headlight in this view. But we'll get a better look at it later. So in order to turn on the turbine, you press F3. Now this gets really, really loud, so plug ears. Turn off the turbine. And let's turn off the sound for the A unit. Okay, it shuts it down. Let's just take a sound of the bell, which is F1. And the horn. You hear that echo? Let's do it one more time so you can hear the echo. That is really cool. And you also have a dynamic brake, which is F4. But it doesn't really make any noise when it ain't moving, I guess. There's a coupler clank on F9. There is a sanding valve on F11. Guess that doesn't work unless it's running or something. There's a short air let-off on F12. Probably doesn't work when it's muted, so let's turn on. Oh, that loud noise was the sanding valve. I was wondering what that was earlier. Now let's try F12. Doesn't really do anything. There's the dynamic brake. So those are the sounds. You can change whatever horns and bells you want. The default is a Leslie S5T-RF horn and GE bell. And you can change to a whole bunch of different horns and bells by changing CV48. Now if I don't have the engine noise on, the turbine unit seems to make a kind of a loud noise by itself when it runs. Kind of like buzzing. Even though I'm in DCC, it's just got that buzz for some reason. But you're really not going to notice the buzz too much as it's going along if you keep some noise on your front end engine or the turbine. It's going to be really not noticeable because the turbine and the engine are so loud. Let's go take a look at what the headlight looks like. Okay, we're going to do a startup sequence of the A unit by pressing F8. Okay, it's on. Headlight comes on. Press the headlight button. If you press F7, you dim the headlight. You can see that. Turn off the headlight. And shut it down. We're going to do a little pull test here. It's the old handy dandy micromark pull meter right here. And right now I'm going to do pounds. .08 pounds. So I'm not sure if that's good or bad. But try changing the unit to ounces. .5 ounces. .045 kilograms. Okay, pull test with the sound on and the turbine. Let's go with this. Okay, the pull test for kilograms is basically the same. I had a .05 and then it dropped back down to .045. So roughly about the same with or without the sound on. So it's a fairly good puller. I'll have to actually see what it pulls in reality. You can really see the color difference between the scale trains and the Kato Union Pacific colors. Scale trains takes the color matching right from the prototype and from the original specifications for the paint at the time. And this is actually yellow. This is orange. When you really look at it, Kato did not get it quite correct. They must have colored matched off of some weird lighting picture or something, because that sure does not look right. Even though it's a nice model, it's not right. Scale Trains is a lot better in their color matching. It's time for some GTEL 8500 fun facts. They were known to have a lot of different nicknames. Big Blow ended up being the one that everybody has grown accustomed to and known for this particular locomotive. But did you know that they're also called air eaters? This is because the turbine sucked in so much air that when they went into tunnels, that the engine would start to choke because it wasn't getting enough air flow through the tunnel. And so it was a little difficult. You needed to go through the tunnel a little faster, I would think, so that you wouldn't choke out the engine inside the tunnel. Also, they were called bridge burners because when they sat underneath a bridge and had the turbine running, it would melt the asphalt when it was parked there because of the intense heat that came out of the back of this exhaust. I don't know if you've ever felt the heat of a jet engine when it's about ready to take off, but it is pretty hot. And that's basically what that is. They're also called pigeon cookers because dead birds were found along the tracks from the exhaust, and when they went underneath bridges, all the birds that were underneath the bridges getting out of the sun or whatever, nesting, would die and fall out of the bridge and along the track. And if it was going along and birds happened to be flying near it, they could get cooked real quick. It also would set overhead flags on fire as it passed by, because when you first started this engine, this turbine engine up, you could have a 700-foot flame coming out of the back of this thing. It was just unreal when they fired this thing up. The engine was out of service in 1970. No more GTELs were running on the rails because of the cost of fuel for bunker C type fuel. This one here is in the Illinois Railway Museum, and number 26, 26B are at the Ogden Union Station in Ogden, Utah. Those are some fun facts. Okay, I'm going to do a little test. Without the turbine noise on, what happens when I turn the turbine on while it's running? I'll show what happens with the speed difference. So I'm going to put my speed dial up to 50, and then I'm going to turn on the turbine. Okay, I'm going to turn on the turbine. Turn off the turbine, and it slows down. So what happens there is this turbine is throttled down when it's not being used. So it's in bolster mode, which means this is basically mimicking pulling this around without this running, which is probably how it's meant to be. And it's a pretty cool feature that I just happened to notice. So, you know, if you don't run the sound with the turbine on, the engine goes a lot slower, and then it doubles up in speed almost. When you turn the turbine on, you have a lot more control, I guess. And it kind of mimics reality. Amazing. Let's take a little stroll around the ManCave. Love that horn. Well, there you go, ManCavians. That's been my review of the N-scale version of the GTEL 8500 Big Blow by ScaleTrains.com. What do you think? I'd appreciate you put some comments down below, because I don't know everything about this locomotive. There's so much to learn. There's a book right here that tells you all about it. Plus there's plenty more stories out there. But this is a very powerful locomotive, very hot and noisy locomotive. The volume level is so real. The ESU did a blowout, in my regards, to the level of sound and detail and control that they put into this locomotive. And it was really different from anything else I've ever ran. So if you get a chance to get one of these, by any means, get one. At least one. There's probably going to be a second run, so look forward to getting one of those then. This retailed for $4.99 minus a 25% discount. Well, not 25%. Ooh, I had a $25 discount, so I got it for $4.75. But that was, train show deals. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive now. I think it's $5.29 or something like that. It's on their webpage, so go take a look at it. I've been waiting for this for a long time. So thank you, Scale Trains, and happy model railroading. Bye. So if you like what you saw here today, go ahead and click subscribe down here below, or follow my Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and my Instagram. Links down here below in the comments. Also, click on one of my other links for videos as well. As always, ManCavians, happy model railroading. Stay off the tracks. Bye.